missing, man? Sounds like music.
Yeah, you've found AHO Radio. We're authentic human outliers coming together to help heal the fear of being authentic. To bring back genuine human conversation. No hype, no sensationalism, just honest talk about the critical issues affecting society, affecting humankind. And now, here are the hosts of AHO Radio, John Krotec and Bill Protzmann. Hey, John Krotec. How's things out there in Florida this morning, man?
You know, I'm on the west coast of Florida, and I couldn't, it's like 85 degrees out. Might be 90 degrees, but everything's beautiful here. I've got
like
all my
100.
teeth. Yeah. It feels like 100. I got all my teeth in my head and feeling healthy and just super excited to have today's guest on, Bill. How about you, man? What's going on?
Oh, well, California is, we're close to the coast. The fog will blow off in a little while, and the other side of my head will start lighting up like a shiny moon. That's about how things go. But hey, it's all about authenticity and vulnerability. And oh my gosh, dude, brother, it is great to be with you on this show today. And
Likewise,
I know your
man.
guest is just like raring to go here. So let me get out of the way. You do the intro and let's talk to Wade.
Yeah, this is a human being that I can't say enough about. His name is Wade Whiskey. We're going to really talk about what he does. But I met this guy about 4.5 years ago at a veterans event right up the road here in St. Petersburg. Wade cruises in on his motorcycle. He had this aura of light around him, and I'm like, holy cow, who the hell is that guy?
It's
but
Jesus.
anyhow, we were at a Gold Star Fathers restaurant called Frankie's Patriot Barbecue, and there was an event going on there, Dave, right next to US 19, and Wade cruises in, and we just started talking about veterans and the things that we're doing, and Wade and me just hit it off. I mean, wait till you hear about this guy, and I'm so glad he's here. But Wade does some phenomenal things for veterans that nobody really around is doing. See these beautiful guitars behind me by Dean Guitars. They make these beautiful custom guitars for Purple Heart recipients. Wayne's organization is called the Heartstrings for Heroes, and I was blessed to MC one event year before last. I helped out with last year's event. And to see the faces on our Purple Heart heroes when they get a guitar like what's behind me, it takes your breath away. It literally gives me tears right now just thinking about it. But, enough about how we met and all that. Let's get right to the story, and let's welcome Wade Whiskey to our show, AHO Radio Network. Hey, Wade, we're so glad you're here, man.
Gentlemen, how are you? And
Doing good.
It's nice to be hot here in Florida with John, and we're sweating and getting through this crazy coronavirus nightmare. I would say it's a nightmare for a lot of people, but yeah, we're getting through it. Heartstrings for Heroes was created out of a bad period in my life, alcoholism. So I almost died in 2006 from alcoholism. So I spent 3 days in the hospital detoxing. And when I got out of the hospital, I went back to the only thing which I knew in my life. I've been singing in a rock band and touring and recording artist most of my life. So when I got out of the hospital, I knew I was done drinking. That much I knew. What I was going to do from there on in, I had no idea. So I went back to the only thing I knew, which was music. And I started writing and recording a record. I toured in 3 countries. I did it all sober. Then I realized if I can heal myself with music, I can heal combat veterans coming home with PTSD, suicidal. And when they're hurt and injured, they put them on a regimen of pills that'll blow your mind. I mean, they got like a suitcase full of pills, some of these guys. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. So trying to offer an alternative to the pills and everything, that's when Heartstrings for Heroes came to light. And we just started getting partners with Dean Guitars and things like that. And they were on board. When I went to them and said, listen, I would like to give some guitars to veterans, they came through. They said, how many do you need? And they gave me like 2 pallets full of guitars to get started. So we went through those. And then from there, they said, okay, now you got to start buying them, and I'm like, all right, I get it, Well,
let's back up. Let's back up a second. Let's back up 1 second. You didn't start out. I know one thing that you're very proud of, and something that happened recently is you got your American citizenship.
Yes.
And I've seen you in action, man. So let's don't blow any smoke here. I know how much you love freedom and how much you love this country.
Absolutely.
Where did you tell us about that journey? And then we'll get to the guitars, but tell us about your journey to becoming an American citizen and what that means. And I know what it means, but let's let the people know what it means.
Well, you hear stories of other people, how when you get your citizenship, it is one of the most amazing achievements. A lot of Americans that are born here, I don't know if they know the, maybe they do, but for somebody that comes into the country, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And I've been going through the process with the green card and all this other stuff. And I hear the stories on the news and what Trump's trying to do with immigration and come in the legal way. And you know what? As a person that went through the process, it is unfair for anybody to come in any other way, because we took a lot of time, took a lot of money, lawyers, and we went through the process. But we got here and we're happy. Happy like
Wait,
way that you can't
what country did you come from? Where?
Canada.
Canada. Okay,
Just
so you started. What part of Canada? Just I'm curious.
I was born and raised in Toronto.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah.
I used to tour. I mean, we all played the same bars growing up. Sebastian from Skid Row and all that. We all came up at the same time. He went off to Skid Row, and I just hung around Canada for a while, and and then I just got enough was enough, and I was drinking a lot at that time, and I took a hiatus in my music career for about 10 years, and I did other things, crazy things. One of my first wives was a featured dancer, and so I got behind the spotlight for a while, and we put on this amazing Rob Zombie meets Alice Cooper in the stripping world. It was phenomenal,
Awesome.
And I put pyro to it, and so we did that. It was another dynamic to my life that I don't know if I'm proud of it but we did it, and it was successful.
That's cool, man. So I know that, like I said, I've seen Wade in action, and I've seen your heart and your soul and what freedom means to you. You just did the Freedom Ride up here in St. Pete
Yes.
on July 4th, to exercise our rights. But anyhow, so we all know about craziness, right? So let's get back to, okay, so you're starting to think about what you're doing. You're an American citizen. You're getting all these things simultaneously. What does it mean? What does it mean, these guitars? Because I know Bill's a big time music guy too. It's what he does with Music Care. What does it do? Tell us about the guitar journey.
Well, a guitar can be your best friend in a time when you need it the most. You got nobody around you. You're sitting there, you're going, what am I going to do? All of a sudden you look in the corner and there's that guitar, and you pick it up. Next thing you know, you're pouring out your story, you're pouring out your emotions, you're writing a song, and if you're lucky enough to record it, that song stays with you forever. And then that's when the magic carpet ride happens. That song can take you around the world, it can take you anywhere. So music is, for me, it's like a magic carpet ride. It just takes you on a journey that you never would have had if you didn't have music in your life. So in that sense, a guitar is more than just an instrument. It's a lifeline, really, when you think about it.
Can you take us, Wade, to a moment where that would give us a story about that? Like when you needed the lifeline and you picked up the guitar, what happened?
Well, oddly enough, I'm learning how to play guitar as we teach veterans. We have a 9-week course that we used to do before the corona, when we can get in hospitals and things. But for me, I'm a singer songwriter. So I always was lucky enough to have a really good guitar player as a songwriting partner with me. So we would, collaborate, and it was like an Ozzy, Zakk Wylde dynamic where Ozzy can't play a lick of guitar and neither can I, so when you have a good writing partner, you can do amazing things. So I always sought out good writing partners to get my yah-yahs out, all my melodies and music and everything. So I'm more of an ear-trained musician as far as singing goes. And I've just, like I said, I've been lucky enough to team up with Ron Zebron, which is a good friend of mine to this day. We still write and record. And Yeah, man. I mean, you have to have an outlet somehow, some way to put it down on record, you know? I don't know if you play, Bill. Do you play, or you're recording artist, or
Just
what
a
do you
little
do?
bit.
I'm sorry. I should have did my research on you.
No. It's
John, fill
totally
me in.
cool, man. Totally cool. I was involved with Guitars for Vets back in the day when it got started and helped grow it in San Diego. And so I've been aware of
Awesome.
Heartstrings for Heroes for quite a while. And
Awesome.
I basically teach people how to use music for self-care. So physical, mental, emotional, spiritual self-care, I'm your guy. But yeah, there's a big old piano sitting right back here, and in front of me is a keyboard you can't see, and there are monitors on the floor. This is the studio. It looks pretty nice, but there's actually a bunch of instruments in here. There may even be a guitar under the piano, as a matter of fact, as I'm looking around.
Well,
I
you know
hear
what?
you.
That's what
Gotta
one
have
thing
your
about
tools right
musicians.
beside you.
Yeah,
Huh?
one thing about musicians is you guys are very humble. Is there any way that we can get a portion of one of Wade's songs on here? I know
Sure.
that I sent you that.
Been some stuff.
Yeah, just so people can hear. Wade's very humble. He's got a fantastic voice. And every time I hear some of his songs, it just really touches me at that core level, you know? And I
Thanks,
think that, yeah, it's really nice. And can you think of one veteran? You know, I think Bill was thinking about, can you think of one veteran in particular? I know you love all of them. And I know, how many veterans have you given guitars to?
Literally, I think I've lost count, but somewhere in the hundreds, you know? I mean,
That's
and
awesome.
mostly Purple Heart combat vets, for
Can you think
whatever
of
reason.
Yeah, can you think of one guy in particular that stands out in your mind that got it and still plays and that you stay in contact with? Can you think of somebody?
Yeah, one guy was really amazing. His name is escaping me for a minute. But we taught him at James Haley Veterans Hospital. It'll come to me. And we went in there and we sat down with these 5 guys. Jimmy DeLisi is the guitar instructor that comes with me, and we sit and work with these guys.
Right.
So we sat there with this group of 5 people one day, and this one particular gentleman, he was slow in speaking. You know, he had a stroke, so he was really slow in talking. And so Jimmy and I sat and taught him a few chords, you know, I think 3 chords or something like that.
Right.
So at the end of the lesson, he says in a really slow voice, he says, would you mind if I showed you a song that I wrote? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. You know, and honestly, I wasn't expecting much, you know? So he plays the 3 chords that he wrote this song previously, probably a year earlier. It was the exact same 3 chords that we taught him that day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
In the song. And we're like, okay, this is weird right off the bat, you know? And then he starts singing. He could hardly talk. He talked in a slow voice, you know? He starts singing. His voice was like an angel. And we're like, where did this come? I said to Jimmy, I said, I want to record this guy. So at the time, Jimmy and I were touring with Decades Rewind. And part of the deal when we tour with Decades Rewind, there's a recording studio involved, right? So we owned a recording studio. So every artist in the group was allowed to have some studio time. And I said, my studio time, I want to bring him in and record him. So we brought him in and we recorded this song, Superhero. And awesome. I don't know if you heard it, John, or not, but it was incredible. His voice, we did a show on the Love Honor Music Network. We did a whole show on him. So I can't believe I forgot his name. I'm getting old. I'm sorry.
No, you're not, man. You're still a couple years younger, but that's an awesome story. And, you know, like you were saying earlier, Wade, it's like there's so many diamonds, man.
Antoine, that's his name, Antoine. I knew it would come
Antoine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like Antoine, there's so many diamonds in the rough.
Oh my God.
Phenomenal what music can do. Bill, you got something propped up there?
Yeah, Wade, I got a song here called I Do. Do you think we can listen to it?
I'll try it. Oh yeah. That was a ballad that I wrote, a solo thing. I actually I'm just learning how to play piano, so
nice.
I dipped into the piano for a while. Yeah.
So here we go. I'll spin it right now. Let's see if you can hear it.
saw your light. No one sees you shine. I do. I do. There's a place for you and me. That sun will never see. I do. Treasure always shines, sun will always rise for you, for you. There's a place for you and me, that sun will never see. I do. Living out my life, love the one I love. It's you, it's you. I do.
Oh my gosh, man.
Brilliant, man. That's
Thank you.
awesome, brother. Yeah.
You're making me cry.
You know, that's funny you say that because, you know, that's what music's all about, is bringing emotion, bringing you into a place that, you know, you could throw on a rock song after this and then you're in a totally different realm.
Sure, yeah.
Music just has a way to just trigger stuff, you know, and
Oh, that
That's-
just got into
you
me,
know-
Wade. Oh,
You know, Bill, you talk about tears. Let me tell you a story that just is mind blowing. So I'd always heard about the Heartstring for Heroes honors cruise, right? I didn't know what to expect. And 2 years ago, Wade and I went up to help with the hurricane disaster relief in the Panhandle, and it was devastating. And we had some tears up there with some of the things that we saw. And he asked me, he says, "Man, can you do me a favor?" He says, "I'm kind of in a pinch. Can you come help me out the honors cruise as your MC?" And so I'm like, you know me, man, I'm always ready to do something. So we did. And I went to it 2 years ago. And these guitars behind me, Wade had 4 of them laid out. And then there was the table, with the soldier not coming home. That was all set up. And I was able to MC this silent auction. But and it was cool. No doubt it was cool. But everything changed when we got to these Heartstrings for Heroes Dean guitar presentations. And we would read the biography of the Purple Heart recipient, and then we would hand them the guitar. And I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about it. And I got to tell you, watching the faces of the veterans when Wade would show them the guitar and hand it to them was so extraordinary as a human being to witness that. I got to tell you, there was not a dry eye in the place for 30 freaking minutes as Wade handed each guitar to these Purple Heart recipients. And I got to tell you, we live in a fantastic country. And what's going on right now, somebody needs to come see what's going on. All this violence and all this mayhem and all this chaos needn't be. We should be pulling together. And when you see the faces on these veterans get one of these flipping guitars, I got to tell you, it brings it home to me, man. So I got to tell you, Wade, thank you, man, for giving me that opportunity. And thank you for doing what you do. Expound on it, man. Tell us more.
I just want to say, John, that, you don't meet people in life by accident. It just doesn't happen. You always meet somebody for a reason. Good or bad, doesn't matter. You've met them to teach you something or to be there to bring whatever you're doing to fruition, And John, when we met, we clicked right off the bat, and we had a very similar story, with the drinking and all that other stuff. And then when we did the Panama trip, the 3 days of destruction, that brought our relationship to a whole new level. I mean, we went through emotions and just glory. I mean, it was amazing. John brought a couple hundred. This is a great story. I hope you got time. But so John brought a couple hundred American flag bandanas with him. And I was like, what did you bring those for? People can't eat those, you know? I mean, like, what? And he goes, no, I brought them because, you know, probably going to give them out. And I said, all right, whatever. So a day into the trip, we're staged at a church parking lot giving out MREs, the military rations and all that. So cars are coming in and they're beaten up. They got broken windows and they're dented up. And we're just loading up their trunk with all sorts of supplies. And John starts giving out these American bandanas. And all of a sudden I start seeing people, like, their faces light up. And they were so happy to get these bandanas, almost more than the food itself. And I started thinking, there's something to this, you know, the amount of patriotism people still feel in a time of chaos is amazing. So I said to John, I'm going to make him say the Pledge of Allegiance too, to get these.
That was awesome, man.
You
remember what you did though? Remember there was that 8 or 9 year old black girl that got out.
Yeah.
And she had her bandana and she put her hand on her heart.
Yeah.
And she recited the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
And Wade, I know you remember this, man. You could have heard a pin drop. Every single human being that was in that area had tears in their eyes. Some of them were actually crying.
Bingo. And I'll never forget that. That was like, that's America right there, period. And I get choked up just thinking about it, but that's the type of stuff that we need in this country.
Yeah.
You know? And you have such an amazing heart, and what you say, you don't even have to know what you're saying, John, because it just comes from your heart. And that's why you were so amazing on the cruise. You know?
Yeah.
As an MC, you couldn't even have trained somebody, because it's a hard job. It's a hard job to do that cruise, because I've done it, 8 years in a row, and it still gets tough.
Yeah.
I mean, every year it's just as tough as the year before, sometimes even more.
What's the hard part about it? I mean, the hardest part about it?
Well, I don't know. John probably tell you more than I would, because I'm doing the presentation in a way, but you start going into each soldier's life and what they did and how they got injured. And it just opens up like a whole story. And you start thinking about what these people in front of you went through for your freedom. And I don't know, there's just so many emotions that go through. You know, John will tell you, I mean, you made it through without choking up. I could have never did that. Like, I'm choking up like a baby now. But that's why I'm not an MC when it comes to this, because there'll be a lot of crickets.
Well, I was on your team, man. When you asked me to do something, I was on your team, and I just knew that we had to stand tall for these soldiers and Marines and airmen. And the hardest thing really was exactly what Wade just said, Bill. Probably just trying to fight back the tears, because when you see grown men, all races are, we're talking about racism now. There's no racism on the honors cruise. We have Latins, there's been Asians, they're Black. I mean, it was like Wade said, it was America. And the toughest thing for me personally now is to watch what's going on and realize that when you have things like the honors cruise and so many people like Wade and others who we've met that are trying to make a difference in a positive way, despite all the differences we've got, it takes away from all of this violence. And I don't buy into it. What I buy into is a great country we live in. And certainly some people have been left out, but it's time to pick each other up. It's not time to destroy. And the honors cruise, you go on an honors cruise with Heartstrings for Heroes and you get off that barge, if you want to, I can guarantee it, your life will be changed forever.
That's what we say.
Never knew the power of a single guitar could have on somebody's life. And Wade, brother, the impression that it made on me, it's there forever, man. It's stamped in my heart. And you're right, man. It's tough to fight back tears, but it's who we are. We're Americans. We pull together. We appreciate our freedoms, and when we help organizations like Heartstrings for Heroes. And you know, I see your challenge coin. Tell us about that. The challenge coin. I see the picture behind you.
Oh yeah. We made up some challenge coins a little over a year ago. We just did 100 specialty ones for very, very important people. Obviously, the veterans that we honor, we give them a coin. But a lot of these celebrities that have signed our guitars, you know, we give them one too. So we keep track of who we give them to, and it's just our way of saying you've been recognized by us, not only with a guitar, but even signing guitars for us, or a part of our organization, a part of our blood, a part of our family. You get one of these. So we don't hand them out like, you know, candy, but for the really important people that build our family, they get one, you know. So
a couple of things,
one.
Because
yeah, you got one, Johnny. There it is.
It's in my heart, brother.
People who are watching or listening, two things we should explain is what a challenge coin, or the original purpose of a challenge coin, and then also, John, you mentioned Gold Star families. So guys, let's explain what a challenge coin is, and also what Gold Star means.
Okay,
ahead,
yeah,
John.
challenge coin it's a military thing. You know, it's a way to show brotherhood and sisterhood. Normally, they're impressed with a unit, or in Wade's case, the Heartstrings for Heroes Eagle, you know, Freedom Eagle, and they're a way, like Wade just said, he can expound on it, but a way to show appreciation and camaraderie between people on one mission. It's a long time tradition, and you know, I've got some challenge coins, but a lot of them don't mean as much to me as the Heartstrings for Heroes. So
what's the challenge in
about
it? What's the challenge?
Oh, this is a good one. So if you, you probably, Phil knows.
I know.
Just setting us up here. So if you walk into a bar and you got to carry your challenge coin, at least one with you at all times, because if you ever get to a bar and somebody pulls out their coin, slaps it on the bar, and you don't have yours, you're buying the whole round or the whole lunch or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen many times too.
Yeah,
I think I bought a couple rounds
at all times.
So which coins do you carry? I carry one for my son. He's a Marine Corps Reserve officer, and I carry his coin. Which ones do you carry?
Man, I've got a lot of them. I like I said, the Heartstrings for Heroes is my favorite, but I've got a lot of Special Forces challenge coins, which has been gifted to me by the brothers who go into these special operations units. And I know Wade has a ton of challenge coins. And so that one that I've got from Wade, and then some Special Forces ones that I carry.
What about you, Wade? What's
I got one from a Medal of Honor recipient, the Doc. Trump actually put his Medal of Honor on, and I met him at the Reese Across America dinner in Arlington. And this guy's amazing. Okay, not only has he got Purple Hearts and he's a medic, but he sings. He's like a trained opera singer too, and he's the nicest guy. And he gave me one of his challenge coins, so I hold that one really dear. But I, like John, I have so many really great people. 4-star generals have given me some really nice ones. God, if I could carry them all, I would. You know, my pants would probably be down to my knees. But
we don't want that to happen, man.
Hey, now
no. Yeah.
Gold Star, for folks who don't know, Gold Star.
Yeah, Gold Star families are families of fallen soldiers, basically. And on our cruise, that's what we do. We also honor not only the living and wounded, but we also honor the families of the fallen. So we will present a guitar, and we'll cover it up so nobody sees it. And then at the last minute, we'll ambush them, take off the blanket, and present them a guitar with their son or daughter's image painted all over it. So that's what a Gold Star family is. And they need healing too, like anybody else. So that's our way of healing them, having a guitar with their image on it that they can look on the wall, they can hang it, they can play it, but it's a token of love. basically.
Yeah, some of them that stand out to me is like Jill Stevenson's, when you gave Jill Stevenson hers, and she lost her son Ben Cobb.
Great. Yeah.
Great
she's
story.
amazing.
The heart of a ranger. His heart is actually beating in another human being, and
What a
that was
story.
one. Yeah, what a story. And then Craig Gross, who Frankie's Patriot Barbecue, lost his son, and he is an accomplished guitar player himself, and but that's it. To honor what the Heartstrings for Heroes does to honor not only the Purple Heart recipients but Gold Star families is just nothing short of phenomenal. And I'm not blowing smoke. These guitars, these are some of them. The ones that Wade's talking about are ones that actually have airbrushed pictures of the lost person on them with an airbrushed Purple Heart. And I got to tell you, go online, look up Heartstrings for Heroes, look up guitars in the images box, and you'll see quite a few of them on there. And if it doesn't touch your heart, then you're not human, because this is a major give back, and in a way that's so heartfelt that there's nothing like it. What are your plans for the future, Wade? I know you're thinking about a retreat center, but how can people help you guys?
Got a couple things. I'm working on a book, kind of to help people with alcoholism and find their way, and not preach to anybody, but just give them my recipe for success to stay sober. Now for 14 years, I've stayed sober.
Awesome.
So, it's my crazy guide to being normal without drugs. And, I'm a green tea, boring guy now. I drink.
Nothing boring about green
Hey,
tea,
man, I love green tea. You're not boring, man. We're in the same club.
Hey,
Yeah,
I've got a crazy question here as I'm listening to you, Wade.
Yeah.
What would you think if someone came up to you, as I'm about to do, and said, hey, there's some heroes that we need to honor here in America, and some Gold Star families that, not because these heroes served in the military, but because they served in the civilian war for social justice. What would you think about extending Heartstrings for Heroes to those families who've lost family members, and to those who've sacrificed one way or the other for our country?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any boundaries for what we can do with music, really. I don't know what you have in mind, but I'm all in. I mean, I'm all in for stuff like that. I was actually going to, when there was a shooting a while ago, I don't know if you guys heard about it in the news, but it was a black man pushed a white guy down here in Florida, pushed him on the ground. And it was out front a convenience store, and the guy on the ground felt threatened. He shot the black guy. Well, his little son was there beside him. I don't know how old he was, 6 or 7 years old. And that kid's going to grow up thinking that maybe white people are evil, And what I wanted to do, and I reached out to a few people to try to get in touch with the wife, and, because I wanted to go and give that kid a guitar from our foundation and say, look, white people aren't bad. Not all white people are bad. What happened to your father is not a white-black thing. It was a bad thing that happened. And I want you to know that here's a guitar from a white person. But I don't even like to use white, or black. I don't like to use those parameters, because I just think it's fueling racism every time you use white, black.
Couldn't agree with you more, man.
It's just people. We're people. Let's just keep it at that, because you're feeding into the whole thing when you start labeling, and even Morgan Freeman says the same thing. So I would like to do what you're saying in a, I don't know what you have in mind, but
I don't know. Let's find George Floyd's family and honor them in a way that's not a Gold Star way, but that's the same intent. That
right.
kind of stuff. I'm just spinning here, thinking on the top of my head, right? Trayvon Martin's family. I mean, who else is out there?
Right.
Just to say, we feel your pain.
I would love nothing more to do that. And I would love nothing more than to bring all races together at a big event and do that.
Well, even you could even say, you could go the other way. The kids that have been killed, there's been kids, not just other, there's been a lot of people killed. There's been whites killed in this as well. And like, I'm like you, the minute that you say whites, or the minute you say blacks, or the minute you say brown, or the minute you start to say that, you basically become a start of something that it isn't, because that does raise the specter of racism. And Bill and I have had this conversation. I never have looked at color, ever. It's always been the person. And when a person of color has ever done anything to me, and by the way, they have, I lived in a foreign country. I lived in the Virgin Islands. It's mainly West Indians. I was a white guy. I saw it, but I didn't blame every black or brown person because of one or two bad seeds. And I think it's imperative as leaders in the community to get that message out there. I've been called a racist recently by somebody in my network just because I don't listen to their narrative. I'm not buying it. And so, the deal, man.
Well, that's the whole thing. Being called a racist is such an easy thing to say because it tends to get them what they want. I said it before that a lot of these people are cowards. They're picking on older white people that are weak to get what they want. And 9 times out of 10, they will cave to their demands because of the guilt race card. I don't have that. I don't have the guilt because I'm not guilty of anything. So you can't use that against me. So people that are guilty, maybe you can use it against them, but I'm not guilty of anything. I didn't enslave anybody. I didn't kill any black people. I don't judge black people. I'm just not that person. So it's tough for me to understand what's going on with all of this other than what I see. It's unfortunate what happened to anybody, police brutality of any kind, black, white, doesn't matter. The media chooses the headlines. Okay. The media chooses what they want to spotlight and they choose what we want to fight about. And the sooner you figure that out, the better, and just turn it all off and do your own thing and just do good. And, sooner or later, people will, if you lead by example, people will want to be that person, want to be that good person. So,
Wade, the way you say that so eloquently, now I know why you and I hit it off, because we have that indomitable spirit where we're not sorry for who we are and we've done nothing wrong. I feel the same way, brother. I haven't enslaved anybody. I've never beat a person of color down. I've never judged anybody. And I love what you say, because if people see that, if you're actually being, and Bill loves this, I know, if you're actually being intellectually honest, if you're using what you call the code of intelligence, you're going to see it. You're going to see that, I go even further back sometimes, and I know we've heard this, man, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, or you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I can guarantee anybody this, because I know it's worked in my life. Anytime that you are violent, it's coming back to you. Anytime that you are mean to somebody, it's coming back to you. Anytime that you disrespect somebody, it may not happen that day,
karma.
But it might come a week later, a month, a year. For me, it came 42 years later,
Mm-hmm.
So
you reap what you sow, right?
Think about what you're doing. So that being said, I'm thinking about Heartstrings for Heroes, and I'm thinking about a fantastic organization that is changing lives. And I mean, really changing lives, not just smoke and mirrors, not just blowing smoke. What can we do, Wade? What can people do that are listening and watching us, 3 crazy guys telling the story? What can they do to help you? What do you need from us?
Well, I always say join the family, and what we do our little events here and there. What I really want to do eventually, and we talked about this, is the Instrumental Healing Center, which is an area. I want to do a ranch style thing where we have veterans, kids, everybody coming and having a music camp / training facility where we can we could teach not just guitar, but we can teach everything. We can teach all aspects, and we can actually train people to be music therapists. That's a big thing. So if you could train people to learn 5 or 6 instruments, you could become a music therapist if you know that many instruments. So if we can put music therapists into society, you know, we can do a lot. We can change a lot of things.
We've got some
I work with the
organizations
music-
to partner with you out here, Wade. In San Diego, we got a huge music therapy organization that's very embedded in the military, and I would love to, I mean, volunteer them, but anyway, there are people who will support this mission.
Wow, that's awesome. Good. We need to talk then, because, you know, and everything takes money, of course. You know, you got to get the land, you got to do this, you got to do that. There's a lot of red tape that goes along with it, but if you have the dream and the passion to pull it off, nothing's going to stop you from getting it. So we just got to, and John and I, John's very driven. I'm driven. We keep sitting down and go, what are we going to do together? Because he's doing his thing and I'm doing my thing, and we come together now and then on stuff. But we're like, there's something bigger. There's something bigger around the corner, you know.
Oh, yeah.
All of us.
Oh, yeah.
We just haven't sprung it yet, you know. So I think we just need to sit down and really combine our forces and see what we can come up with.
You've offered some powerful energy to us today. That people who are tuned into AHO Radio are not your run-of-the-mill people. They're people who are actually looking for that authentic, or way to be authentic, you know, or be more authentic. And so you've tied into some powerful energy here that's been spinning around us, and I'm so happy that you've gone as deep as you have. You know?
Awesome.
Absolutely. You know, I'll tell you, you know, Bill, seeing Wade here like this is one thing, and listening to what he says is one thing. But when you're around Wade, he's got this energy around him and this enthusiasm and this determination that just pulls everybody in. And it's kind of cool to be around because, you know, I like being around authentic human outliers, people that don't necessarily do it the way everybody else does, but the things that they're doing are integral. And Wade is definitely doing things integral for humanity, for our veterans, for the concept of music. I mean, the universal language. Are you freaking kidding me? And I'm just honored and blessed to be around both of you guys.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
You're an amazing person too. I mean, what you've done with Green Zone, and you're bringing people together. You're bringing the corporate world into all of this, and that's a huge thing, you know, alone by itself. That's
thank you. One step at a time, but you know, I don't know if we can get another song on here before we tap out, but is there possible to get something else from Wade? Or
we're running close on time, man. I'll post some stuff in the description, though. I want to make sure there's a great way for listeners to get to your music, so that'll be in the description in the show notes.
So Wade, where can people go? Give us some information on where they need to go to find out more information.
Oh, you can go to our website, heartstringsforheroes.org, and we got .com too, so either one. And right now we're just waiting for this whole craziness, all these things to be lifted so we can get out and really do what we do and get in with the people again. So it's challenging, you know. We did our July 4th thing, which was I thought was really important, especially around the time we had to show people that we weren't locking down. We weren't, you know, putting up with this nonsense and canceling 4th of July events and all this. We were getting up and we're going out and we're flying our flags. So that was a big deal.
You know what was cool about that? You know, I was in the Jeep all the way at the end of it. Wade had, you know, 100 or more bike riders, you know, strung out along the road, all keeping a tight formation. I was absolutely blown away at how many people riding in cars were hanging out of the window with live video feeds. I heard horns honking, thumbs up, thank yous. I mean, it was phenomenal. So don't believe what you're hearing, that people hate the flag or people hate America, because what I saw on July 4th, that's one hell of a way to show hate, if they're really showing hate, because it was all about the love. And
you're 100% right.
Yeah.
100% right, because the real America is 95% of us love this country and love our flag, and don't believe the hype. Don't believe this nonsense, because, you know, as it doesn't matter. I hate to say it again, black, white. We all have black, white friends, whatever. 95% of all of us love this country. And you saw it on July 4th. It didn't matter. Nobody was blocking us. Nobody was saying, you know, throwing things at us. We had flags, man. People love this country.
A string of 100 or more bikes with flags. I mean, these guys Wade had a flag attached to his big old cruiser. And Wade's right. It was all about the love. And you know, like Wade says, you know, the stories that we watch in the media is what we're fighting about. Maybe if we were getting together on something, maybe the stories would be better and we wouldn't have so much angst and anger. Because you know what? I saw more flags flying than I've seen burning, but yet the media shows us the ones burning. So you're right, Wade. Show us the flags that are flying. The news should have been out there for the Freedom Ride. You know, come on.
The problem with the news, and we all know this, is if it bleeds, it leads. That's what their narrative is. And that's why I wanted to do the Love Honor Music Network, where it's the opposite of that. You know, put a lot of people to sleep, but who cares? It's all about great people doing great things, you know?
There you go. Great people doing great things here in the United States of America. We've got our issues. We're working on them. But Wade, all I can say is, God bless you, man. Thank you for being here with us, and look forward to our next meetup. And thanks, Bill, for, you know, doing all the technical stuff, man. I know that's not easy too, but we're telling the stories and we're proud of it. So
you bet, man.
Thank you very much.
Not a video producer here, but very happy to be a part of this. Wade, thank you so much for being, for offering us your vulnerability today. That's the thing that just resonates, man.
Keep in touch and do some good stuff.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of AHO Radio. Information we mentioned is probably in the show notes, but if we missed anything, please let us know and we'll get it added for you. Subscribe to the AHO Radio channel on YouTube to stay connected, and as always, we wish you health, success, and significance. AHO!
AHO! Heartstrings for Heroes. Check them out.